OG Rose, and today we're going to be talking about belonging again, section 38. And we've been discussing the problem of character and the need for character if we don't have givens, Nietzsche, Hegel, Deleuze, all of these different questions. And so it brings us to The Death of Character by Dr. James Hunter. Now, I think I've heard Mr. Hunter say that he doesn't really like that title too much. He would have preferred something like The Paradox of Character, The Tragic Comedy of Character, things like that. Because there's something about what ends up happening is it's not that the notion of character is no longer with us. It's that we no longer have the conditions to live character or to have character versus values. It makes me think of something Kierkegaard once said. I won't go through the whole quote, but it's something like, if the despairing self is active, then really it is constantly relating to itself only experimentally. No matter what it undertakes, however great, however amazing, and with whatever perseverance, it recognizes no power over itself. Therefore, in the final instance, it lacks seriousness and can only conjure forth an appearance of seriousness, even when it bestows upon its experiments its greatest possible attention. The quote is much longer from Kierkegaard, but basically the idea is that everything without character or givens or kind of community or roots is experimental. I was speaking with my dear friend Vincent, and he was telling me about a thinker, an Italian philosopher whose name escapes me, do forgive. But his idea is that today we're all barbarians. And by barbarians, he means people who is always moving from one town to the next, going in, getting what they want, moving on. And he associates that with this kind of emphasis on experience today. Everyone's trying to get new experiences, experience new things, and there's something barbaric about that. There's a lack of commitment, and everything is like tourism. You know, we think, and this is why Hunter also doesn't like multiculturalism, because it suggests that diversity is a matter of tourism, that diversity is merely food, clothing, so on and so forth, and so it's not deep, it's shallow. And so, you know, if you think that way, everyone becomes a barbarian. I hadn't heard that language before, but I thought it was lovely. And this is basically what Kierkegaard is saying. Everything is experimental. Nothing is serious. Even when we act like it's serious, it's not going to work. And that also is, to me, what I think Hunter is saying with the death of character. He says character is dead. Attempts to revive it will yield little. Its time is past. And he leaves no doubt opening, that's what he thinks. And you see, the thing is, even if it were somehow to come back and be a common feature with American society, it will likely not occur anytime soon. The social and cultural conditions that make character possible are no longer present. And that would mostly be givens, another way to put it. And the section is going to start talking about CCE, that means community character ethics, and it's going to say how today, if it's the triumph of the therapeutic, we're basically trying to make ethics against forbidding a new kind of ground for CCE, but of course those exist in a necessary conflict, because you need things that are forbidden to have character and to have community, and if you don't, so there's a conflict here. Now, I do think it's possible to have a kind of ethic and a kind of character in EAF, but there's no doubt that it's different. It's different from what we would understand in the past, and this is what Hunter wants to emphasize. To quote, character is formed in relation to convictions and is manifested in the capacity to abide by those convictions, especially in the face of temptation. This being so, the demise of character begins with the destruction of creeds, the convictions, and the God terms that made those creeds sacred to us and inviolable within us. And the God terms is a Philip Reef term. What Hunter wants to say is we really don't believe in things that have authority over us anymore, these kind of internalized directions that have authority over us. Really, we more so have values. And he's quite critical of values because they're just kind of empty, they're arid, there's nothing really there. And they're not inhibiting truths. They don't inhibit us. They're more like what we express, what we believe in. But there's no inhibiting there. It's all yes and no. And you have to have no's to have character. So, the thing is that also, too, I should note, I don't deny Hunter's idea that if our new form of character today is fighting against givens, fighting against things that forbid us, the great no's, that, I think there is a kind of form of morality there. But to Hunter's point, it's hard to meaningfully and distinctly discuss a CCE independent of an EAF. They kind of blur. And if they blur, it's kind of difficult to have community, character, and ethics in a manner that is authoritative. Because the moment they're authoritative, they're restricting, and if they're restricting, they're immoral, so you fight them, so it becomes a problem. So I don't deny that Hunter has a point. Furthermore, it should be noted that the conditions that make possible character are the conditions that make possible the banality of evil, following Hannah Arendt. So, removing the possibility of character, yeah, no one can be Bonhoeffer today, but no one can be Hitler either. And we've talked about that before, so maybe that trade-off is worth it. But it also seems to be the case that without character, you have alienation, and the meaning crisis, and the mental health crisis, and all these different things. So the question this section is going to leave us with, that we'll continue investigating, is it possible for Nietzsche's children to create anything but values? Can an absolute knower lack givens and yet live according to a CCE that is distinctly and meaningfully a CCE and not blurred with EAF? Can a Deleuzian individual fare any better? So, and this is the question we've been exploring since the turn. Is it somehow possible for these three to gain the benefits of a CCE and yet not at the same time restore the probability of the banality of evil occurring, or the possibility of it? Why or why not? Indeed, why or why not? And this is what we have to investigate. Is there something different in these forms of character that we see in Nietzsche's child? Or maybe Nietzsche's child is the supreme example of the triumph of the therapeutic, because there's no forbidding. But of course, that's why Nietzsche emphasizes that what the child creates is like a law hung over the child's neck that has authority over them. Well, can we do that? Is that possible? Is that something that most people can do? What does that even mean? And these are questions we will have to continue investigating. For more by O.G. Rose, please visit ogrose.com. For the whole Belonging Again video series, please check out YouTube. There's a playlist, and then you can find a list on Medium. And thank you so much for your time.